Greetings to all of our friends around the world, and welcome once again to Kourou, the home of the Ariane family, for today's live broadcast of Ariane Space Flight number 247. We're very happy to have you all with us tonight for the launch, an international launch, a double launch, 2 satellites, and 3 customers for Saudi Arabia, Greece, and India. At this hour, here at the base and at the countries involved, people are gearing up for the launch. The liftoff due in just under a quarter of an hour. We are go for launch. Coming to you live, as always, from the Jupiter Mission Control Center here in the heart of the space base. We want to take a look outside for a first look and a closer look at the launch vehicle. If you're unfamiliar with Ariane 5, she's the reliable workhorse, the senior member of the Ariane family, designed for heavier launches and, like tonight, dual launches. She stands 51 meters tall. She's in 2 parts. They call them composites here, a lower composite and an upper one. The lower including the main stage and the 2 boosters. The upper composite consisting of the 2 satellites and the vehicle equipment bay where the computers are. We'll be describing each in turn as it is functioning. The 2 satellites there, the heaviest, usually separated first. That is the case tonight. Tonight it's HS4 SGS-1, or to use its longer name, Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 Helisat 4. You'll hear both used tonight. In the upper berth, 6.5 tons. The lower deck, GSAT 31, due to be separated at plus 42 minutes. With us tonight, as usual, is Arianespace's Chief Executive, Stefan Israel. We have time for a few questions. Good evening, Stephen.
Good evening.
Good to see you. Won't keep you too long, just a few questions. The first question, it's the first launch of the year. What makes it special?
Yes, so the year really begins tonight with the first launch of Ariane 5. We will make 5 Ariane 5 this year, and tonight we will deliver for 2 key customers for Arianespace. In upper position, we will deliver for Arabsat. This is the 11th launch we do for Arabsat, with 2 end operators, which are CAXT in Saudi Arabia and Elasat in Greece and Cyprus. And in the lower position, we will deliver for the Indian Space Agency. It is ISRO, and it is the 23rd satellite we are going to orbit for ISRO. So tonight we have 2 good partners and friends on board on Ariane 5.
And 2 old friends.
Yes.
Yes. Now, can you describe the mission for us, maybe give people some facts and figures that we can remember?
Yes, so you know we have transferred the launcher on the launch pad yesterday. During all day we have made the final operation. We have filled the main stage, the upper stage. We have checked that all systems were green. And in a few minutes at 6:01 we are going to lift off. You know that the liftoff occurs 7 seconds after the ignition of the Vulcan. The mission is going to last 42 minutes. We will first separate on the upper position SGS-1 Elasat 4 after 27 minutes, and then after 42 minutes we will separate GSAT 31.
31, right. You mentioned that we have double launches tonight. Is it fair to say that the double launch has become the Ariane 5 trademark?
We can say that this is absolutely the art of Ariane 5 mission. We have delivered many other missions. We have delivered Bepi Colombo. We have delivered Galileo last year. But it is true that year after year, we have delivered a lot of dual launch. And we have this specificity. In one launch, we make 2 missions, which is quite interesting for the customers.
Okay, last question, if you don't mind. We're coming off a big year. What do you see for this year?
So this year, you know that we target up to 12 launches from the CSG with our current family of launchers, among them 5 Ariane 5s, then we will have some Soyuz and some Vega, so it will be absolutely a big year also from CSG this year.
Super. Stefan Israel, many thanks, very clear as always. Stefan is going to take his place in what we call the fishbowl behind us, and he'll be back, of course, at the end of the mission. We are going to stay in Jupiter and present some of the key players who make the mission happen, the dramatis personae, if you will. We're looking at the Arianespace High Command, led by Stefan, who will make his way there momentarily. With him, Roland Lagier, who is the Chief Technical Officer. Now, these gentlemen will make any decisions should anything unexpected come up during the countdown or during the mission. You may see them on the phones with their teams here at the base or back in Europe. Coming up now, a brief presentation of the mission, some things to look out for. You know that the main stage and the boosters are ignited at ignition. The boosters will burn for about 2 minutes, and they are discarded when they have used up all their fuel. The main stage, of course, continues burning. Less than a minute later, the fairing is released, our altitude now 100 kilometers up. 6.5 minutes later, the main stage engine will shut down, and it is cast off in its turn. The upper stage engine then ignites, and it will provide the remaining thrust to complete the mission. Our upper passenger, HS4 SGS-1, will be released at plus 27 minutes. It's held in place by a structure called the Silda, which we no longer need, so we can discard that now. And finally, our second spacecraft, GSAT-31, separated at plus 42 minutes, and Ariane's mission is complete. 8.5 minutes to go to the first Ariane launch of the year. Outside, the launcher is waiting, and the weather, as you can see, we had rain last week. The last 3 days have been very sunny and warm until today. This afternoon, we got rain and clouds, so we don't know what the visibility is going to be like. DDFR said we're going to launch, and we're sure we are going to launch, but visibility, we'll have to wait and see. We'll hope for the best. Ariane can launch in the rain. Poses no problem to liftoff. In the middle of the countdown, of course, not simply a 3, 2, 1, push a button and blast off. It's a very complicated set of procedures, especially here in Jupiter, where there's a constant flow of information coming in to the people behind us here in the fishbowl from all around the base. 2 other people that you're going to be seeing tonight, and especially hearing from as we move back into Jupiter. You will see from Arianespace Didier Said, who is the mission director. And he works alongside the DDO, also called the Range Operations Manager, a CNES person. Myrto Madlon tonight in the role. You'll be hearing him a lot because the DDO calls out all the key milestones during the countdown and during the flight.
VDO, attention pour la séquence finale lanceur.
And he's going to call out the 7-minute mark.
Top, H0 moins 7 minutes.
All right, 7 minutes. Why is that important? It brings us into what's called the automatic or the synchronized sequence, which are the final moments of the final countdown, the tip of the iceberg, if you like. What's happening, basically, power is passing from the ground, which controls everything now, to the onboard computers on the launcher, making her autonomous. All right, you know everything. Our stage is set. We're go for launch. I'm going to make my way up to the broadcast booth, and while I'm doing that, take a look at a film on the launcher campaign to see how Ariane is put together.
Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 Helesat 4 was flown to French Guiana on an Antonov aircraft, arriving at Cayenne's Félix Éboué Airport. It was then transported by road from Cayenne to the European spaceport in Kourou. Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 Helesat 4 was installed in the S5C South facility in order to begin the preparation phase. The satellite was then transferred to fueling building S5B, where the Lockheed Martin team filled its tanks. The GSAT-31 satellite was also flown to French Guiana on an Antonov aircraft, arriving at Cayenne's Félix Éboué Airport. It was then transported to the spaceport along with all allied equipment and placed in the S5C North facility for preparation. The satellite was then transferred to fueling building S5A, where the ISRO team filled its tanks. Combined operations involving Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 Helesat 4 and the launch vehicle began at D-11 in the S5B building with the integration of the satellite on its flight adapter.
After assembly of the launch vehicle and checks on the electrical and propulsion systems, it was placed in secure standby on December 17th, then transferred to the final assembly building on January 17th. Combined satellite launch vehicle operations were initiated on January 21st. The satellites were assembled on the launch vehicle and all launch vehicle systems placed in flight configuration.
The satellite was then transferred to the final assembly building to be integrated on the cylinder structure, placed under the fairing and integrated the launch vehicle with the upper composite. Combined operations for GSAT-31 and the launcher started at D-8 in the S5A facility with integration of its flight adapter. The satellite was then transferred to the final assembly building to be directly mated onto the launch vehicle and encapsulated with the upper composite at D-6. Since D-6, the two payloads have been subjected to health checks and battery charging. Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1, Hellasat 4 and GSAT-31 are now both on top of the launch vehicle and standing by for the final countdown.
I would like to thank the launch team for its hard work and commitment.
All right, Joshua Jampel back up here in the broadcast booth for the first launch of the year for Arianespace, the first Ariane 5 and the first two satellites of the year. There are some 1,700 people working around the space base in all, and our cameras are here in Jupiter, but many others are hard at work at many other sites across the range, and we want to bring you some of those. The range in all is large, about the size of Singapore or about the size of the island of Martinique. We're going to show you in just a moment one of those places where there's a lot of work being done now. It's up in the launch zone where the launch management teams are working under the direction of the Launch Complex Operations Manager. Today, Patrick Lucette in the role. Now, most of their work was done earlier in the day. By the time we get to the automatic sequence here, the 7-minute mark, they, like most of us, like the launch vehicle itself, are waiting mainly. The work done up there carried out by two teams, one responsible for executing flight chronology, and the other for verification of the flight worthiness of the Ariane 5 vehicle. Now, the Launch Complex Operations Manager heads up the group responsible for execution of the chronology. Now, he coordinates with Mission Control back here for final authorization to launch, and when all the conditions are right, he then okays the automatic sequence at the 7-minute mark, which we saw. They are closer to the launch pad than we are. Here in Jupiter, we're about 15 kilometers away, but they are right there. We mentioned earlier, the countdown is a complicated process and a long one. Final countdown actually began around 6 this morning with first checks of the electrical services and the inertial platform. Filling of the lower stage began at 1 o'clock. Filling the upper stage began about 3 hours ago. This split-screen image shows the propellant feeder arms in the middle of the launcher. We're going to pull back and you get a better view in just a second. Liquid hydrogen on the right, on the left, liquid oxygen on the right. They're putting propellant into the upper stage tanks. Now these arms pull back at -7 seconds before ignition. You see them in the middle of the screen, the yellow bars running from the gantry into the upper stage. One of the last things you'll see before liftoff, so we want to take a minute and mention it. Minute and a half to go. The electrical power supply has been switched from the ground to on board, and here in Jupiter, the VIPs and the invited guests have begun to make their ways outside to watch the liftoff. There are 2 terraces, as you may know, on either side of the building that give a fine view.
À tous de DDO, attention pour moins 1 minute.
The DDO is going to call out the 1-minute mark.
Top H0 moins 1 minute.
All right, we're into the final 60 seconds. Give us a chance to say hello to our friends at ISRO and Bengaluru, to all of our friends at CAXT and at Hellasat and at Arabsat, to Lockheed Martin in the US, locally to the Kourou, Sinnemarie, and Cayenne sites, to our industrial partners ESA and CNES, and to all of you following the broadcast on the internet. We hope you are enjoying it. If you're not settled in, pull up a chair and you can enjoy all the action. And that's about to begin. We're going to cut away, let you listen to the DDO for the final countdown.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage Vulcain. Allumage des EAP, décollage Ariane VA247.
Local time and right on time.
La propulsion est nominale.
Mission, lifting off from the ground here in French Guiana with a lot of fire, carrying 2 new satellites. We lost her into the clouds. We didn't have much visibility, but we did have liftoff. The 2 boosters now providing 90% of our thrust, propelling the launcher along her trajectory at an ever higher velocity, as the DDO says all is working perfectly on board. Our mass at liftoff, 775 tons. And to get that sort of weight off the ground, you need a lot of push, and push we have. She's burning 5 tons of fuel every second. That's 2.5 tons per second burning in each booster, plus the core stage burning another 300 kilos of fuel, again, every second. Ariane 5 is now following the program in the onboard computer, which gives all the orders, including stage separations, which we will soon see in less than a minute.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont nominaux, la propulsion est nominale.
The DDO says all is working fine on board. We're in the first of 4 flight phases. We'll describe each in turn and in detail so you can follow Ariane as she heads east across the Atlantic. Right now, the first flight phase,
La trajectoire est nominale.
the single first stage engine and the 2 boosters are burning. The boosters will each consume their 240 tons in just over 2 minutes. In about 20 seconds, they will be extinguished, and they're the first to be jettisoned, and you'll hear that from the DDO, and you'll see that, of course, on the animation as well. This first flight phase, using both cryogenic cold fuel and storable propellant, cryogenic offering certain advantages over storable, better and more precise performance, and its motors can be reignited. There we have right on time, separation of the 2 boosters.
Séparation des 2 EAP.
The DDO confirms it. They fall 500 kilometers from shore into a protected area. Give you an idea what it looks like from the onboard camera. There is a second booster to the port side of the ship, which is out of camera range. French Guiana was in part chosen as a base for its opening on the water, launches posing no threat to the local population. We'll have more on that coming up. For now, on the bottom of your screen, take a look on the left, our altitude approaching 100 kilometers, and on the right, our speed. We've passed 2 kilometers per second. The speed we need for satellite separation, roughly 9 kilometers per second, so keep your eyes on the numbers.
La propulsion est nominale.
And when we near the region of 9 kilometers per second, we're getting near satellite separation. Fairing separation has come right on time. Separation given by 2 pyrotechnic systems, one horizontal and one vertical. They're cords that actually remove the fairing by a small contained explosion, and we emphasize contained, of course. We can separate the fairing now because we are out of the dense layers of the atmosphere. Over 100 kilometers up, there's neither friction nor heating, which could disturb the passengers. Also, we can discard any dead weight when possible to maximize the launcher's performance. The fairing weighs 2.5 tons, so it's good to get rid of it when we can. Ariane 5 is the heavy lift launcher. The 2 other members of the family, Soyuz, you know, lifting middle-sized payloads, 2 and 3 tons, and Vega, the light lift vehicle for missions of 1 ton roughly. With its family of launch vehicles, Arianespace is the reference, providing launches of any mass to any orbit at any time. And Arianespace is part of Europe's space effort, which is a 3-way affair among ESA, CNES, and Arianespace, and you find them all here along with the customers. Arianespace is in charge of operating the family of launchers and of marketing launch services and the Ariane program. ESA, in a nutshell, funding new programs, and the CNES overseeing coordination of all space-based operations.
La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage reste calme.
The Guiana Space Center, the world's only dedicated commercial space base, where Arianespace operating the launcher family Ariane 5 and soon to be Ariane 6, Soyuz and Vega, soon to be the updated Vega C. Arianespace also managing the launcher and the satellite campaigns. We have the first of many films coming up for you now. We'll have films on both customers later on. For now, on the community of Ariane cities, highlighting towns that are part of the Ariane program.
En 2019 se cumplen 500 años de la primera expedición de la Vuelta al Mundo que partió de Sevilla, esa Vuelta al Mundo de Magallanes y Elcano. Entonces Sevilla era la capital económica del mundo. El próximo año, 2019, a la presidencia de la Comunidad de Ciudades Ariane la ostentará la ciudad de Sevilla. Es una enorme oportunidad y también un orgullo el centrar el interés de todo el sector aeroespacial en nuestra ciudad. Desde 2012 pertenecemos a la Comunidad de Ciudades Ariane y en ella hemos trabajado con otras ciudades para intentar que la inversión pública y privada haga del sector aeroespacial uno de nuestros motores de la economía. Para nosotros la oportunidad de esta presidencia de la Comunidad de Ciudades Ariane tiene también su broche de oro con la celebración de un Consejo de Ministros de la Agencia Espacial Europea en nuestra ciudad, en donde además se van a discutir importantes inversiones para los próximos años en este sector. Estoy convencido de que los debates que se produzcan, las reflexiones sobre la financiación y los modelos de inversión para estos proyectos van a hacer de Sevilla, sin duda, el centro de la atención mundial en la industria aeroespacial.
If you followed our launch last December, where we had, as a matter of fact, another GSAT, we also had a delegation from the community of Ariane cities from Les Mureaux, French town. Tonight, Sevilla, in English Seville, of course. CVA is a non-profit outfit aiming to strengthen cooperation among cities and organizations involved in Europe's space programs. We, meanwhile, are in the second powered flight phase, the single-engine core stage burning now. The boosters have done their job. Another minute to go before it shuts down. During the film on Seville, we were picked up by our first downrange tracking station. We're going to go to a launch replay, the first of what we hope are many. You can relive those very exciting moments 8 minutes ago. We have cameras at several of the observation sites here across the base. And throughout the broadcast and at the end, we will be bringing you replays, like this one is another one from closer viewpoint. The Natal station, the downrange tracking station, run by Brazil's Defense Department, it sees the lower stage burnout and separation. All of Ariane's trajectory has been designed to be followed from the ground, of course. We're waiting for confirmation of the shutdown of the lower stage and its separation. There you can see falling back into the Atlantic and the ignition of the upper stage. There's 3 commands given by the onboard computer in about 13 seconds. The lower stage falls back into the Atlantic off the Gulf of Guinea. Which brings us into the third and final powered flight phase, the single upper stage engine that'll burning until plus 25 minutes, another 16 minutes roughly. And what is the job of the upper stage, you may be asking? That is a good question. The upper stage takes the satellites to their injection point, positions them for separation, and then releases them. That's its propulsion role. But she also has a second role, which comes during the ballistics phase, is what they call the non-powered flight phase. And we'll have more on that coming up. For now, turning to our passengers, a film, our first look at HeLSat 4 SGS-1.
Regarding in particular Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 HeLSat 4, Arianespace is proud for having been selected by Arabsat in 2015 to launch this satellite, which has been manufactured by Lockheed Martin based on a modernized, well-known A2100 bus. The satellite will be located at 39° east orbital location. It will provide Ka-band spot beams communication services for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and will offer advanced Ka-band beam communication services for HeLSat, the Arabsat subsidiary. I would like to thank all the teams that have been involved in this program. First, of course, our customer Arabsat, who always relied on Arianespace with a dedicated, very efficient teamwork all along the program. Secondly, CAX and HeLSat teams, who were always proactive and helpful during this smooth campaign and also in resolving issues when needed. And finally, Lockheed Martin, who always contributed with very constructive approaches and experienced, dedicated team.
Arianespace has been serving the Mideast since 1985, when it launched Arabsat 1A, the region's very first satellite. Arianespace also orbited the first satellites for Egypt, 1998, Libya, 2007, the United Arab Emirates in 2011, and Qatar in 2013. HS4 SGS-1 is the 11th Arabsat launched by Arianespace and the 22nd to be orbited for the Mideast. Another look now for more on the satellite.
Our power to communicate is the very basis, the essence of human civilization. Satellites unlock the ability to reliably connect from across the most remote places, transforming our understanding of the world and the way we live, work, and cooperate on a global scale.
From the ancient times, Greece and Cyprus were the bridge of civilizations and the crossroads of trade between Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Our ambition is HeLSat to play this role, to be the window and the step of Middle East and Africa to Europe.
HeLSat 4 is a powerful addition to our network and a major milestone to our business plan. It brings new capacity that will enable our existing and new customers to unlock growth opportunities in broadcasting, mobility, and private data networks.
HeLSat 4 will be placed in our orbital slot at 39 degrees east. The goal is to complement the extensive coverage of HeLSat 3, our latest satellite, which was launched 19 months ago, and provide in-orbit backup solutions to our customers. Our vision is to offer high-quality, cost-effective satellite service that will enable our customers to grow their business in the most remote areas.
HeLSat 4 is the largest commercial satellite that Lockheed Martin built to date. It has electric propulsion with high-performance electric propellers and powered by the noble gas engine. It features 20 kilowatt sun burners and a weight mass of more than 6 tons, achieving a lifetime of more than 23 years.
HeLSat 4 will be launched by Ariane 5 and VA247 Arianespace mission, keeping the great experience the company had from the launch of HeLSat 3 back in 2017. The satellite covers Europe, Middle East, and South Africa with KU and KA payload. In Europe, the satellite will expand HeLSat capability with 22 additional KU, FSS, and BSS transponders. In Middle East will provide 6 additional transponders, which can be used to provide 100% redundancy to HeLSat 3 in the area. In South Africa, it will expand HeLSat capability with 6 additional transponders, addressing the need of satellite capacity in the area. The satellite will be monitored and controlled by a team of expert, fully certified engineers through HeLSat hot redundant facilities in Greece and Cyprus. A properly designed, built, and launched segment requires a respectively advanced level of flight operations so as to achieve the maximum of the satellite lifetime and the best of the service provisioning to the satellite customers. Offering premium satellite services since 2001, HeLSat premiered with HeLSat 2, positioned in 39 degrees east orbital position. After the successful launch of HeLSat 3 in 2017, Halasat is now ready to welcome Halasat 4, the new addition to our fleet, offering unprecedented capacity to our already extensive network.
The universe is expanding. So are we.
While you were watching the film, we were picked up by our next downrange tracking station, Ascension Island, tiny island in the South Atlantic. 11 minutes to go in the upper stage burn. Arabsat, the direct client for both satellite, founded in 1976, headquartered in Riyadh. 2 satellite control centers, one in Riyadh, one in Tunis, serving more than 80 countries across the Mideast, Africa, and Europe. Another look now at our first passenger with more on KAXT.
La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme.
King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology, KAXT, is keen in investing in the technology of the future, which led to the creation of the Advanced Research Program. The program consists of several joint centers of excellence with prestigious U.S. academic and industrial entities, including MIT, Stanford, Caltech, University of California, Berkeley, and Boeing. Each center has been created to cover a strategic domain of interest that is vital to the development and prosperity of the kingdom, such as the energy, water, mobility, and health domains. Energy has always been critical to Saudi Arabia. Roaring growth in domestic oil consumption imposes challenges in finding other means of producing efficient energy. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the world with no natural bodies of water. It is now beginning to feel the impact of rapidly rising water demand, which requires innovating in new water technologies. The kingdom has capitalized on its massive fossil fuel resources by successfully building a petrochemical powerhouse that is recognized worldwide. With this edge, it is crucial to keep up with the evolution in this field by innovating in advanced material and manufacturing. Rapidly evolving technologies, along with demographic and economic changes, are expected to alter the healthcare system worldwide. This demands an extensive effort to advance health technologies. The population of Saudi Arabia is growing rapidly. Major Saudi cities face increasingly severe traffic congestion and accidents and deteriorating air quality. Developing new smart mobility solutions in the kingdom is crucial to reduce these effects. Space applications are fundamental tools for bringing sustainable development throughout the world. Saudi Arabia is investing in space and astronautics technologies to strengthen its position in telecommunications, disaster management, agriculture, environmental protection, and natural resource management. Saudi Arabia is taking the challenge of finding innovative methods to produce fresh food to its citizens in a place that has scarce freshwater resources. Information and communication technology is the new source of economic growth and development around the world. Nowadays, ICT is almost an essential enabler of all other domains. Every human-made system begins and ends with the environment. The harsh desert environment of Saudi Arabia demands that engineered systems be especially resilient to survive such conditions.
La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme.
Ariane 5 continues to function flawlessly. Arianespace coming off a very good year in 2018. We spoke briefly with Stefan Israel about it. 11 launches we launched in every month except in February and May, but we launched twice in November and twice in December. 11 launches, 4 double launches, telecom satellites, navigation, space science, Earth observation. Satellites went to geostationary transfer orbit and sun synchronous orbit. When I said Arianespace flies to all orbits, I meant it. Next up, a second film on our second passenger, this time on the prime contractor Lockheed Martin.
Les paramètres à bord sont nominaux, le pilotage est calme, la trajectoire est nominale. nominal. Il reste moins de 4 minutes de propulsion de l'ESC1.
HS4 or SGS-1 is the 46th Lockheed Martin satellite to be launched by Arianespace. There's another one in the backlog due for launch later this year. Our last launch for Lockheed Martin goes back to 2012, Flight 206, with the JCSat-13 and Venusat for Vietnam, both satellites built by the companies. We had a Lockheed charter. Some more numbers for you. This launches the 306th mission performed by the Ariane family and the 103rd on an Ariane 5. Up next, a look at the relationship between Hellasat SGS and Arianespace.
I'm pleased to welcome this first Ariane 5 commercial launch of the year with on board 2 passengers. Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 Hellasat 4 as upper passenger, a Condosat for CACST and Hellasat operators, along with GSAT 31 as lower passenger for ISRO.
The Saudi Geostationary Satellite, SGS-1, is the national satellite provides secure satellite communication on the Ka band for the government of Saudi Arabia. It provides 35 gigabit per second. It has the coverage of the Middle East, Europe, North Africa, and as well as a Ku band payload for the Hellasat subsidiary of Arabsat. SGS-1 is a satellite that comes out of the alliance of the agreement between CACST and Arabsat, who jointly contracted Lockheed Martin to build 2 geostationary satellites. CACST is honored that it can provide the satellite in the name of Saudi Arabia thanks to the support of the custodian of Tuliham Mosque and King Salman and the overseeing of the Crown Prince, who made the visit and monitored their manufacturing activities and wrote a precious word above the highest cloud, a sign of a new era of a new Saudi satellite on the geostationary orbit at 36,000 kilometers that comes after 15 Saudi-made satellites previously launched by CACST on the lower Earth orbit. I would like to thank His Highness Dr. Turki Al Saud, former president of CACST, and chairman and president of CACST, Mr. Khalid Al Faleh.
The Hellasat payload will provide Ku coverage over Europe, Middle East, and South Africa. It will provide extensive redundancy and backup capacities to further secure DTH networks and customer base and provide competitive advantage to its customers in Europe and other areas. We envision Hellasat 4 to provide additional capacities for HD, 4K, and free-to-air channels, which will guarantee additional room for our existing and new customers to grow. Following the transfer orbit injection of the satellite, the Lockheed Martin Control Center in Colorado will begin the orbit raising operations with the support of Arabsat, CACST, and Hellasat engineering teams to bring the satellite into the geostationary position of 39 degrees east. With the completion of the in-orbit raising operations and the in-orbit test, the Hellasat SCC will assume the on-station operations and they will operate the spacecraft for the upcoming 23 years of orbital maneuver life.
We had a very accommodating and smooth launch campaign thanks to a team from CACST, Technia, Arabsat, and Lockheed Martin.
It has been a prosperous journey, and I would like to thank the Lockheed Martin team, the Ariane team, the Arabsat and CACST Technia teams for their support and excellent collaboration. I would like to thank my team, the Hellasat team, for the excellent job they did.
We are grateful for the cooperation and the service provided by Arianespace.
I wish a long life to Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 Hellasat 4.
During the film, we were picked up by our last downrange tracking station. It's in Malindi in Kenya, and it will see the upper stage burnout and satellite separations. We are coming up on extinction of the upper stage engine. In just a few seconds, you will hear the DDO confirm that.
Extinction de l'étage supérieur cryotechnique.
DDO has confirmed it. You'll see the nozzle shutting down on the animation. And we are into the final flight phase, non-powered. We are coasting. However, we have not reached our maximum speed. You can see we're approaching 9.3 kilometers per second. Ariane's maximum speed will be 9.7 kilometers per second. After that, you'll begin to see her slow down. When she separates the first passenger in just about 2 minutes, her speed will be down to 9.4 kilometers per second, roughly. When she releases the Silda, that's the carrying structure for the second passenger, at plus 29 minutes, she'll be flying at 8.7 kilometers per second. And finally, when she separates GSAT 31 at plus 42 minutes, her speed will be down to under 7 kilometers per second. With the power shut down, not only do you see our speed start to drop, but we are moving into a new coasting phase. It's the last flight phase, the only one not powered, as we mentioned. Just a minute to go until separation of our first passenger. The time we have is plus 27:14, just in about a minute. And it's always a moan of high concentration when you're approaching satellite separation. The teams have gone through these procedures before, but it of course calls for tremendous focus. You don't want to say tense, but I think focused, concentrated. Gives you an idea of the atmosphere here in Jupiter. You see it on the faces. All eyes on the computer screens in front of them, and all ears on the phones as we await confirmation of our separation of our first passenger. Telesat 4 SGS-1 coming in about 6 or 7 seconds, and you will hear the DDO confirm it.
Séparation Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1 et la Sat 4.
Well, DDO has confirmed it. You see our first passenger pushed away from the mothership by a series of springs. First good news of the evening, successful separation of our first passenger at over 1,000 kilometers up over Africa and just below the Arabian Peninsula. You will also notice that people here in Jupiter politely holding their applause because the mission isn't over. We still have to separate our final passenger, GSAT 31. And we are in our ballistics phase, the final phase of the mission. When choosing a space base, the Europeans wanted nearby hills where radar and telemetry reception could be installed. You're looking at this place called the CVI, the Quick Look Telemetry Display Control Center. It's on a hill just behind us in Jupiter, and it's another place with the launch zone that we saw at the top of the broadcast that is very, very busy. These teams have all the means for receiving, processing, storing, and analyzing all the data coming in from the ground stations along Ariane's flight path. Remember, we talked about the downrange tracking stations that follow the launcher. Well, right now, these teams are following all the key flight data coming in, and they're reporting the flight data status of the launcher back to the teams here in Jupiter. The announcements you hear made by the DDO come from the CVI. The information goes to them first, and then to the flight desk and to the Launch Complex Operations Manager. All part of the great information flow from points across the base back here to Jupiter. And so you understand Jupiter deserves its name as the nerve center of the space base. Later, these data will be treated to reconstitute the entire mission. The flight will be recreated in figures from liftoff to well after satellite separation and analyzed again. We are coming up on SILDA separation, as you see the names of the downrange tracking stations in yellow, the one currently following us. The SILDA is that black bell shape, which lets us carry a second passenger, and you will hear the DDO call out that separation.
Séparation du système de lancement double Ariane.
Coming right on time. The same system of springs pushing it away from the mothership, revealing our lower passenger, GSAT 31. Due for separation in about 8 minutes. GSAT 31, built by ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, of course. We mentioned Ariane 5, known for its double launches. She's the only commercial launcher capable of lifting 2 heavy satellites, and we've done hundreds. And each one requires a SILDA or the predecessors of the SILDA on previous versions of Ariane. The orbiting of GSAT 31, along with GSAT 30, which is an additional geostationary satellite due to be lofted soon by the European launch services provider, Arianespace, marks another vivid demonstration of the strong bond uniting Europe and India in space cooperation. The Indian Space Research Organization has a vision which is to harness space technology for national development while pursuing space science research as well as planetary exploration. ISRO also fosters the use of space to help develop the Indian subcontinent. Our second passenger now, another look at GSAT-31.
Please let me introduce GSAT-31, one of the 2 satellites to be launched by Ariane 5 flight VA247. GSAT-31 is an operational communication satellite designed and manufactured by ISRO, the Indian Space and Research Organization, in order to provide communication services from geostationary orbit for a mission life greater than 15 years. It derives its heritage from ILAS and GSAT-7, which were flown on earlier Ariane 5 launch vehicles. GSAT-31 will be the 23rd ISRO satellite launched by Arianespace, following the launch of GSAT-11 last December, also on Ariane 5. Our cooperation with the Indian Space and Research Organization goes back to 1981, when Ariane Flight L03 launched the Apple spacecraft. It is always with great pleasure that we welcome at CSG our Indian friends.
And our Indian friends, their second passenger due to be separated in about 10 minutes. ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, founded in 1969, having a birthday this year, I believe in August. ISRO's done so much for the nation, so important to India, using space technology for national development, pursuing, as we mentioned, space science and research. With GSAT-31, ISRO will again foster the use of space to help bridge the digital divide on the Indian subcontinent. As was mentioned in the film by Alina, Arianespace launched an Apple experimental satellite for India back in 1981. That was on an Ariane 1, making India one of Arianespace's oldest customers. So you can imagine the strong bond linking Arianespace with India. The two have been cooperating nearly 40 years now in their long-term partnership. Since the launch of Apple, Arianespace has orbited 22 satellites, signed 24 launch contracts with the Indian Space Agency, also winning 89% of the geostationary orbit launch contracts open to non-Indian launch systems. More on our Indian satellite. A look at ISRO coming up.
Communication plays a very important role in the overall societal development. In a country like India, which has different geographical topology with many hilly and remote regions, effective communication through satellite becomes inevitable. For more than 3 decades, ISRO has launched and maintained a constellation of communication satellites, providing a variety of operational communication services in the country. GSAT-31 is a communication satellite which will provide continuity of services currently provided by INSAT-4CR and INSAT-4A.
GSAT-31 spacecraft is a high-power communication satellite with payloads in Ku band with an effective isotropic radiated power of 51.5 dBW. This spacecraft is a versatile one with unique configuration of providing flexible frequency segment and flexible coverage.
The satellite is configured on ISRO's enhanced I2K bus and weighs around 2,600 kilograms at liftoff. Its power system comprises of deployable solar arrays of 3 panels each with 2 135 ampere-hour lithium-ion batteries supporting spacecraft during eclipse conditions. The satellite has 2 large propellant tanks accommodated within the central structural cylinder. The liquid apogee motor is mounted on a separate deck which interfaces with the bottom ring of the cylinder.
GSAT-31 satellite with 19 Ku band transponders will join the fleet of 18 operational communication satellites and further boost the country's in-orbit communication assets. The satellite is designed to operate in Ku band and will expand VSAT services and other broadcasting requirements.
The payload also has facility for reconfiguration of fixed satellite services by sending commands from ground. 2 Ku-band beacon downlink signals, also generated by the satellite, are transmitted along with the Ku-band transponder signals for ground tracking purpose.
Lots of flexibility has been incorporated in the payload in terms of frequency, coverage, and orbital location. Additionally, a part of the Ku-band spectrum will be used for the first time in Indian satellites. All the subsystems of the payload are having good flight heritage.
ISRO always strives to improve design of its satellites through continuous research and development efforts to progressively enhance their performance. An in-house designed 2.2 by 2 meter deployable single-shell Gregorian reflector is incorporated in GSAT-31 for better coverage and operations.
This spacecraft provides communication services in Indian mainland and island areas such as number 1, connectivity to very small aperture terminals for ATM, stock exchange and e-governance applications. Number 2, telecommunication applications for bulk data transfer for a host of emerging applications. Number 3, emergency communications for disaster management support. It can also be placed at an alternate orbital slot and is capable of providing DTH applications.
GSAT-31 is built to provide seamless communication services for more than 15 years, which will further strengthen ISRO's constellation of communication satellites and will ensure reliable communication services in the country. The satellite is now ready for its space journey and is scheduled to be launched on board Ariane 5 launch vehicle from the European spaceport in Kourou, French Guiana.
Four minutes to go until separation of GSAT-31, so don't anybody go anywhere. We want to mention that there has been a slight loss of telemetry signal today. It's quite normal, not a problem, but it is an interesting process. Sometimes it happens. The ground stations suffer a brief blackout due to the launcher's position. Again, quite normal. It happens usually between stations. Tonight there was a brief loss of signal, 50 seconds, between Natal's loss of the signal and Ascension Island's acquisition of it. And there was another 4-second loss, very tiny one, between the Gabon station in Libreville, their loss of the signal, and the acquisition by the Malindi station, Gabon, of course, on the east coast, and Malindi on the west coast of Africa. Again, quite normal. We don't lose the information. It's stored in the vehicle, it's stored on board. In the vehicle equipment bay is something called the Central Telemetry Unit, and inside that is something called mass memory. The exact times and duration of the signal loss are programmed in the vehicle equipment bay, and the telemetry unit is programmed to record the data it would normally be sending down to the stations on the ground. Our final film coming up on the relationship between Arianespace and ISRO.
GSAT-31 is a high-power communication satellite. This is based on ISRO's I2K extended bus. This satellite will provide a host of communication services in our country in Ku band frequency. The satellite was realized at Bangalore, India in fast-track mode under the guidance of Chairman ISRO and the Director URSC. The realization of this satellite was possible due to immense support given by Team ISRO. GSAT-31 was shipped to the launch pad early January, and all the preparatory activities were carried out as planned. Our long-standing relations with Arianespace have ensured smooth, event-free operations at the launch pad. The place and the facilities here are similar to our spaceport at Sriharikota. Followed by the launch and successful injection of GSAT-31 by Ariane 5, The solar panels will be deployed and the orbit raising maneuvers will be carried out by Master Control Facility in India. Subsequent to this, in-orbit test will be initiated and the satellite will be made available to the users at the earliest.
I wish all the best to GSAT-31 and the teams involved in the launch.
1 minute to go until launch, separation of our lower passenger. We talked about the long and fruitful cooperation between ISRO and Arianespace. ISRO satellites have flown on all versions of the Ariane, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. French Guiana may be 7,000 kilometers from Paris, but it is very important for Europe. The Guiana Space Center offering an independent access to space, vital for Europe strategically. You see the Jupiter mission controller in two parts, the invited guests and the VIP is on one side of the glass, and the operational people on the other, inside what we call the fishbowl. All these posts there have a backup as well. The Guiana Space Center, Europe's spaceport, certified ISO 14001 in 2004, which means its activities meet the international environment standards. We're launching from the CSG, where we have been launching for 50 years. And during those 5 decades, we've launched more than half the telecommunications satellites in operation today. Waiting for confirmation from the DDO on separation of our lower passenger.
Séparation GSAT-31.
And there you have the final good news. And you heard the applause from people here in Jupiter, handshakes all around, champagne forthcoming, as Ariane 5 delivers to these smiling faces her second passenger, GSAT-31, over the Indian Ocean, not far from the Indian subcontinent, and the station at Hassan on the west coast in Karnataka state will get the signal first. So from the rather focused, concentrated minutes just a moment ago, you can see the change here in Jupiter. Very buoyant all across the Space Center and at all the points and posts where people are following the launcher and the satellites. Work now just beginning, or soon will be, at the different ground stations for both GSAT and Hellasat SGS, and at all the other sites around the world where the satellite's first maneuvers are being monitored. We are waiting now for the traditional post-separation speeches. The podium is being set up. We will be hearing from Stefan Israel of Arianespace, Badr Al-Suwaidan of KAXT, Dr. Sivan from ISRO, Guy Budelschis from Lockheed Martin, and Christodolos Propopatas of Hellasat. Some of these people seated on the VIP side of Jupiter here, but Stefan Israel, of course, working on the inside there, and will shortly be making his way out to join us on this side of the glass. So a very big night for India, for Saudi Arabia, for Greece, for all of our customers and all of our friends around the world. Congratulations all around. Stefan Israel, I see, is on this side of the glass. We will go to a launch replay, and then we'll be hearing from Stefan. Our series of replays from the different sites. Stefan Israel's making his way to the podium. He will begin the sequence of post-launch speeches. I think he's waiting for the cameras to be ready. There are some people who are shaking hands, and Stefan Israel waiting very politely for his chance at the microphone. A good start to the year for Arianespace and for all of our friends in the Mideast. 2 new satellites, 3 customers. Stefan Israel waiting, is about to make his way to the podium. He will make his speech. He makes 2 speeches, actually. He'll be speaking and then introduce the speakers that will follow him. And then once the final speaker is over, he will make a final statement. The next voice you hear, Stefan Israel.
So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Arianespace is delighted to announce that Saudi Arabia Geostationary Satellite 1, Elasat 4, and GSAT 31 have been separated as planned on the targeted geostationary transfer orbit. For the first Ariane 5 launch of the year, our heavyweight vehicle has once more performed flawlessly. Congratulations to all. I would like first to thank Arabsat, our direct customer for Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1, Elasat 4. 34 years after Arabsat 1A, this 11th mission together is a new bright success. I want to express my gratitude to our partners and friends in Riyadh, where I'm sure this success is now celebrated. Notably, I want to thank Arabsat CEO Khalid Balkeyur for his trust and his friendship. Saudi Geostationary Satellite 1, Elasat 4, will provide capacity for 2 operators. First, King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology, CAXT, which will operate SGS-1. Thanks to the director of Saudi Geostationary Program, Dr. Bader Al-Suwaidan, for being with us here tonight in CSG. Second, Elasat, which will operate Elasat 4. With this payload, the Mediterranean operator, who we partnered with in 2017 for the launch of Elasat 3, will provide services for Europe and South Africa. I want to thank its CEO, Christodoulos Protopapas, who is with us tonight. I want also to celebrate the presence of key people tonight with us. We have the Cyprus Minister of Transport, Communications and Works, Mrs. Vasiliki Anastasiadou, as well as the Greek General Secretary of Post and Telecommunications, Mr. Vassilios Magklaras. Last but not least, I want to congratulate our longtime US partner, Lockheed Martin, and Mr. Guy Buttelschilds, who is VP Communication Satellite in Lockheed Martin. So for Lockheed Martin, it's a comeback after a few years not with us in CSG, and it is the 46th satellite we have orbited for Lockheed Martin, and we have one more in our backlog to deliver this year. After having celebrated our partnership with Arabsat, I wish now to celebrate our partnership with the Indian Space Agency, ISRO. Arianespace is ISRO that is honored that ISRO has entrusted Ariane 5 for 2 launches back-to-back. You know that at the end of last year, we have delivered to orbit GSAT 11. It is the most powerful satellite of ISRO. And now we are very happy to start 2011 with GSAT 2019, with GSAT 31. We celebrate tonight the 23rd successful mission together, and it was remembered in our broadcast. The first mission we did together was April. It was the 3rd launch of Ariane in 1981. For such an amazing collaboration, as well as for the successful manufacturing and delivery of GSAT 31, I want to deeply thank ISRO and congratulate ISRO. For sure, I have a special thought for ISRO chairman, Dr. Sivan, who is watching this launch from Bangalore. And I want also to celebrate Mr. Pandian, who is with us tonight and who is director of the SDSC. We will also have the pleasure to welcome ISRO for another launch this year with GSAT 30, which is still in our backlog, and it will be a second launch for ISRO in 2019. With this first launch of the year, we celebrate Ariane's 40th birthday. You know that the first Ariane was launched the 24th December 1979. And Ariane 5 reasserts tonight its leading position on the geostationary market. Indeed, tonight's launch has started a series of up to 5 Ariane 5 ECA dual launches in 2019, and there will be all dedicated to global commercial customers in dual launches. So I want to congratulate all our partners who played their part in this new success. ESA for sure, and all the member states of the Ariane program whose support is essential. Speaking about our European footprint, I would like to mention the delegation from the city of Sevilla, which holds the 2019 presidency of the Community of Ariane Cities. I want also to thank Ariane Group, Ariane 5 Prime, and first shareholder of Arianespace. We have today with us tonight André Hubert Roussel. André Hubert has taken over the position of Alain Charmeau after many years of success for Alain, and we are very proud and happy to welcome André Hubert with us tonight in the Jupiter room. I want to celebrate CNES as well, Ariane 5 Design Authority and our daily partner here in CSG. And I wish also to say a word for all the employees of the launch basis for their flexibility and their capacity to deliver in due time. Of course, I would like to pay my tribute to all my Arianespace colleagues. It is the first success of the year, and we are now waiting for at least 11 more. I would like now to welcome to the stage our customers and partners. Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you, Your Excellency, to be here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Today we celebrated the success of the launch of Ariane 5 mission VA247 that's carry the Geostationary Satellite SGS-1 with it successfully separated today. SGS-1 is a national satellite provides secure communication for the government of Saudi Arabia. CAX is honored to provide the satellite in the name of Saudi Arabia, thanks to the support of the custodian of the Holy Mosque, King Salman, and the overseeing of the Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who visited the Lockheed Martin facility and wrote the last piece on the spacecraft, the precious word, above the high skies. SGS-1, a satellite comes out of the cooperation between CAX and Arabsat to contract Lockheed Martin to build 2 geostationary satellites in 2015. In this program, we work together between Arabsat and CAX and Halasat to work and manage the program. I'd like to thank Arabsat CEO, Mr. Khalid Belkhour, and CTO, Mr. Zahani, Majid Al-Anizi, and Hafid Raheli, and Alif Atansi, who helped us greatly on this launch campaign. And I'd like to thank Mr. Buttu Babas and Ken and the rest of Halasat team. I would like to thank our CAX and Technia team, Mr. Mashal Anizi, Bandar Al-Qasim, General Asaymi, and Majid Al-Mishari, who I worked with in 4 and 5 missions. Also, we partner with our end user and our clients on the secure communication services. And for the military, our end users are actively involved with the program, and I thank General Al-Garni, Dr. Al-Harbi, and Dr. Al-Hakami to be with us today. I would like also to extend my gratitude to Lockheed Martin, who worked hardly in this program and delivered a state-of-the-art spacecraft. And what they did is highly appreciated. And we had a very smooth launch campaign thanks to the hard work that Arianespace and their colleagues put on this launch campaign. I know that it's quite a lot of people work on that, and I cannot name a single one. I know that is an activities that every time, like, you need to work on challenges, and this is the level of services that Arianespace deliver and promise everybody, and they are the best launcher. Thank you.
From my side, as representing the Hellasat, I would like to thank the Greek and Cypriot government for their generous support. I would like to thank the Minister of Transport of Cyprus and the Secretary General of Telecommunications and Post of Greece for their presence in this very special moment and special moments of our company in Kourou. I would like also to thank Minister Nikos Papas for their personal support to Hellasat project. I would like also to thank the chairman, the members of the board of directors of Arabsat and the management of Arabsat for their generous support. Our chairman, Dr. Omar Alaida, and the board of directors of Hellasat for their support to this project and for their generous support also to the management of Hellasat. I would like also to thank the board of directors and the management of CACT, and especially the former president of CACT, Prince Dr. Turki, and also the board of directors and management of Guiana Space, General Abdullah Halosami, for their very, very harmonic cooperation we had until now, and we expect to have for the next 23 years of operations of the joint satellite. I would like also to thank Mr. Roussel for the special, for the first, and congratulate for the first successful launch of year 2019, and my friend Stefan Israel and his team for this excellent job, and also Guy and the team of Lockheed Martin. Give my regards to Lisa, my friend Lisa in Denver, and also regards to the team, the joint team of engineers in Denver who took over the satellite right now. And also, I have to pay our tribute to the engineering team, the joint engineering team of Hellasat, Arabsat, and CACT, who worked together for 4 years for this very special project, and then deliver with Lockheed Martin a state-of-the-art and a very innovative spacecraft in space. Now, in my capacity as chairman of the Hellenic Space Agency, I would like to welcome the establishment of the Saudi Space Agency in Saudi Arabia and congratulate His Royal Highness Prince Sultan bin Salman for his nomination as chairman of the Saudi Space Agency. Thank you very much, and we will be in touch for the next 23 years. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Guy Butelsches with Lockheed Martin. What a day, what a day, what a day. What a fantastic launch. We are so excited to be off to this fantastic start. So first off, I want to thank ESA, I want to thank CNES, I want to thank Arianespace, and I especially want to thank all the employees who made this day possible, all of their hard work, and it is such a delight to be here finally and ready to start our mission and move forward to supporting our customer. This is a very big day for Lockheed Martin. This is our first LM-21 launch. This is our new upgraded communication satellite platform and carries a variety of technologies which make this the largest and most powerful commercial communication satellite that we've ever built for our customers, and we're very excited to be delivering that to them. And so I want to also thank all of the engineers, both at Lockheed Martin and our customer and their contractors and everybody who's been part of this 4-year journey to get the spacecraft built, designed, tested, and delivered. And then I also want to thank our customers for allowing us to be part of their team. So for CACT, for TACNIA, for Arabsat, and for Helisat. Very excited to be part of your journey. And I especially am gratified because this just really reinforces the very strong relationship that we have with Saudi Arabia, with Greece, and with Cyprus. And so we still have a long night ahead for us. So the launch vehicle's job is done, but we are going to be acquiring our spacecraft and then starting to get health and telemetry, configuring it, deploying our solar arrays, and doing a variety of tasks to get it ready to move out to its orbital position and start its 23-year service to our customers. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Arianespace team, CAG and CNES team, Arabsat, Helosat team Lockheed, dear colleagues from ISRO who are stationed here, who are watching this program in India, and our fellow countrymen, good evening and good morning to all of you. I am immensely happy to convey congratulations to one and all from Dr. K. Sivan, Chairman ISRO, Secretary Department of Space, for the successful launch. It gives me great pleasure on the successful launch of GSAT-31 spacecraft on board Ariane 5. This is the third mission for ISRO in 2019. Congratulations to Arianespace on the successful launch and precise injection of the satellite into the orbit. Congratulations to our co-passenger teams for their successful satellite launch. The relationship between ISRO and Arianespace is more than 50 years old. We started our relationship by launching our Apple in the Ariane 1 sometime in 1981. Since then, the relationship and bonding is growing very strongly with the mutual understanding and trust. Coming to French and Indian relationship is very strong in science and technology area. And CNES, we have been working with them, CNES, for 5 decades, and we had many successful projects which served both the countries. Coming to GSAT-31, which is a high-power communication satellite with the KU band, which is going to serve and replace some of the satellites which are getting expired soon. It is going to serve the country in various aspects like communications to islands and mainland, in terms of business, in terms of DTH, and many more. And in fact, I would like to congratulate our team members from ISRO who are slugged here for last 1 month and made this mission very successful. We had a very cordial campaign with Arianespace. This time we have taken only 28 days for the campaign activity, under the leadership of Dr. Sivan, who has been instructing us, who has been guiding us and inspiring us to do the things at a very faster rate. Now, I'm happy to say,
Tous de vidéo, fin de la chronologie VA247. Les moyens sont remis à disposition des adjoints.
The satellite is in good conditions. This moment marks the joyous culmination of the successful launch campaign. However, I believe every end has got a new beginning. We have got many launch vehicle and missions in our hand. And soon we'll be getting back to French Guiana sometime in June, July to launch GSAT-30. At this juncture, let me thank Arianespace and all the contributing agencies for the wonderful support and wish them all the best. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have done the first Ariane of the year, and we will deliver soon for another key customer for us, for OneWeb. It will be with Soyuz. The targeted day for this launch is 22nd of February. We will confirm it more formally in the coming days, but this will be our second launch of the year, and it will be with Soyuz. So now enjoy the evening, and again, thanks to our customers. Thank you so much.
So, Ariane 5 for her first launch of the year, maintaining her high standards, a double launch, an international launch, delivering 2 new passengers for India, GSAT-31, and HS-4 SGS for Saudi Arabia and Greece. These 2 new birds winging their way to their final orbital slots, where they will eventually be bringing new telecom services to homes and businesses across the regions. And Arianespace, very proud and happy, of course, to help these nations achieve their ambitions in space. So it's a very exciting evening for all of us, and we're glad you could share it with us. You can see that we are ending the broadcast with our broadcast team here, who are still hard at work bringing you the final sound and images of the broadcast. They're very busy. We won't want to disturb them too much, but we did want you to meet them, because it's thanks to them that you got a ringside seat at this first launch this year. Now, if you can follow me, please, not very far. We're going down here to see our director, because we have to ask him for something so we can say goodbye. This is our director, Francois. Hello. He's too busy to talk, but believe me, he can hear us. Francois, can you roll the launch replay, please, so we can say goodbye? And over these final pictures of Arianespace's first launch this year, we will bid you good evening. Arianespace getting the year off to a good start, orbiting satellites for India, Saudi Arabia, and Greece. So that'll do it for us from Kourou. On behalf of everyone here at Europe's spaceport, Joshua Jampel with the broadcast team, saying thank you for being with us. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to being with you next time. Goodbye, everybody.